Hi everyone, it's really a privilege to share our story before you all. We hope after you listen to our story, you'll realize that if we can do it, you can do it too. I'm a homeopathic doctor. I'm a physician and an advanced critical care registered nurse. I did 13 years of college with multiple degrees and post-graduation in advanced critical care nursing. It's really an exciting adventure to build this business with my husband. I used to live in Australia and New Zealand and worked day shifts, PM shifts, night shifts and weekends, working over 60 to 80 hours per week. I had no idea about the existence of this business. Only after I met Satish, I got introduced to this wonderful business, and thanks to it today, I'm able to live a dream lifestyle of being a full-time wife, traveling the world with my husband, hanging out with super positive people, not having to work all those crazy shift hours, but instead, I could be shopping in the middle of the day, exercising at any time of the day, spending quality time with my family, doing things with my in-laws, living in a beautiful home with swimming pool in the nicest area of Houston. When we say nicest area of Houston, we don't drive hour and a half to go to the malls and stuff. We're just 5 minutes away to the Galleria Mall and Memorial City Mall. That's right in the central city of Houston. We're in the nicest school zone areas and very close to all the amenities. And we drive fast cars and dreaming big about our future. As you all know, Satish is highly acclaimed in his job in the space industry. He has won the 2008 Silver Snoopy Award for saving a space shuttle from a disaster. He saved 7 lives of astronauts. How many of you guys in real life have met a real hero? Not a movie hero like Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise, not the heroes that fight in front of the cameras. It's a real hero that saved lives. And when I went to the award ceremony, I actually met all those astronauts. So it's really worthwhile saving people who have done so much for the community. He's considered among the top space engineers and scientists in the world. And last year, he received the Innovator of the Year award at NASA for his 7 inventions. This year in April, I was so excited to see him receive the Stellar Award, the highest honor anyone can receive in Aerospace. It is considered to be like the Oscar Award or the Nobel Prize for the space. It was such a wonderful ceremony, and I got a chance to hang out with people that actually walked on the moon. The award was given by a lady astronaut who is the current record holder for longest duration in the space for a woman and was also the commander of the International Space Station. Before going to the ceremony, I only saw on the Google images and on the magazines that actually astronauts exist and people with space suits exist, even though you worked in the hospitals in critical care, all the departments, but you never get to chance except seeing all kinds of patients and diseases. But people with the positive attitude and people who have done something in the space industry. So I was very much excited in that ceremony, and actually I started taking selfies and pictures with all the people there. And that lady was really impressive, gave award to Satish. Satish may be an ultimate geek in his job with all his professional success, but he is humble to be mentored by people like Double Diamonds Raj and Sangeeta Shah, Diamonds Sajid Syed, Diamonds Chetan and Vinita Rastogi, and has intern coached and mentored dozens of emeralds and diamonds in the United States, India, UK, including people like Executive Diamonds Chuck and Uma Kakani, Diamonds Varaprasad and Surya Kumari. He's a sincere person and tirelessly has helped hundreds of people across the globe to become financially independent using this business as the vehicle. He's also a wonderful, loving husband and a dedicated father to all our 4 kids. Apart from all this, we contribute money and time to many charitable causes, from the local temple to the Museum of Fine Arts Houston. He mentors so many young high school girls to successfully construct sophisticated robots and has created a wonderful program that has inspired over 5,000 kids from all over the world build rockets and launch balloons into near space. I'm really looking forward to hear the powerful, unique story of my husband Satish, who was born with the silver spoon. I say silver spoon because he's the only kid. He doesn't have sisters and brothers, and both his parents are professionally highly acclaimed people in the industry. Mom is a pediatrician and dad is a CEO, but he was a director of Air India in India. He don't have to build a business or he don't have to work hard, come to US and all that. He could have stayed back in India and stayed happily, but he struggled in his career as well as in the business, and he made it big. I love him dearly, and he's my real hero, as I've mentioned. He has very high standards for himself, yet easy on others. He's loving, caring, hardworking, professional, down to earth, and very approachable person and very honest. And he's a very good role model for all of us. And here is my diamond Satish.
Hey, it's an honor to speak on this stage, and I appreciate all the hospitality this team has extended to us. We'll be sharing a little bit of our personal stories so you understand where we come from. And then we'll take you on our journey through this business and share with you how we were able to put a large team together to create a tremendous business asset. In the later part of our talk, we intend to share with you the process of building this business, the attitude necessary to win, the preparation you need to make, and the qualities you'll need to develop to maintain a headache-free, trouble-free business. As Sushma introduced me, I currently work as a chief engineer leading a large engineering group at NASA. And as she shared, I've received a number of degrees. However, I need to share with you that the reason why I succeeded at work is because of the mentorship and the training I received while building this business asset. I didn't succeed in business because of my job. I succeeded in business despite my job. The business training gave me a nerdy guy, a personality with which I was able to build this business asset. So I was born in Chennai, India. My mom was a pediatrician who later spent her life working in the slums of Hyderabad. So she was basically a slum doctor. My dad, who was my hero and a tremendous role model, had a super successful career. So my mom, she was a gold medalist from her medical school and could have picked the choicest jobs, but she chose to spend her life serving slum kids. I've been with her to some of the, when you look at the movies like Slumdog Millionaire, those scenes exist. Okay. And, I've been with her through all that. My dad was my hero and a tremendous role model. And he had as I said, a super successful career. He started out in the Indian Police Service, then trained as a pilot. He flew as a fighter pilot in the Indian Air Force during wartime. He then joined India's largest airline and was trained as a test pilot, a flying instructor, and an examiner. He flew Boeings and Airbuses around the world. And while flying during the day, he put himself through college at night, getting a degree in law, 2 degrees in business management, and even an aerospace engineering degree. He climbed the corporate ladder and ended up as the director of Indian Airlines, Air India. And currently he is the CEO of Telangana Aviation Academy that has won for the last 9 years the #1 flying school in India award. He continues to teach students to fly at age 81. Growing up in Chennai, even my kindergarten teachers have complained that I had a one-track mind. They would ask me to draw something and I would draw an airplane. They banned me from drawing airplanes and they would ask me to draw a scenery and I would draw that and an airplane or a rocket flying above. By the time I was in middle school in Hyderabad, I was building rockets my height and launching them from my school football fields and remote control airplanes that used the school's cricket pitch to take off and occasionally crash. I studied in one of the top schools in India, prestigious with a lot of rich kids there. The grandson of the President of India, the son of the Chief Minister of the state, the grandson of the last Nizam, who was the ruler of Hyderabad, were all my classmates. Summer vacations were always fun. I would travel with my dad all over the world, sitting in the flight deck. You haven't lived like sitting in the flight deck, seeing your plane coming into land on the narrow aircraft carrier like runways in the Maldives, or dodge buildings in a 747 coming into land at the old Hong Kong Kai Tak Airport. My dad was a daredevil. He even once took me to the beach in Chennai in the midst of a cyclone. And as the floodwaters came in, the coconut trees, the palm trees were horizontal, with the wind. So we got out of our car through the window because you couldn't open the door. The winds were so high. And we went out and we held onto the car and he said, "Son, this is a cyclone." He was used to cyclones. He used to fly Hurricane Hunter airplanes into the eye of cyclones. Academically, I wasn't that great. In the 8th grade, I had a number of fail grades. Being the only child, I was fed a lot and had gained weight. My dad and mom had a heart-to-heart chat with me. They roasted me. They asked me what I would like to do when I grew up. And I told them I'll do something great in aerospace, invent new rockets and airplanes, and at the same time learn to fly and become a pilot. My mom, who was a topper from one of the best medical schools in the state, said that with my current grades, I wouldn't be able to get into any college, may not even graduate high school. My dad said that with my current weight, if I sat in a trainer plane, it may not even be able to take off. I took it to heart and felt majorly insulted and decided to show them. I then hit academics with a vengeance. I chose to live life like an experiment. And I studied the syllabus for the entire next year during the summer vacations itself. This was in 9th, 10th. In the 10th grade, Indian Certificate of Secondary Education, ICSE exams, I topped my school and state. Carried the momentum forward through the 12th grade. Meanwhile, I got my school physical education instructor, who was an old army sergeant, to get me into physical shape. He had me run obstacle courses, long distance running, leaping from ropes, climbing walls. I stopped eating junk and monitored what I ate. I got selected to the Indian Air Force National Defense Academy, the top medical school in the state. the top medical school in the country, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, the top engineering schools in India, the Indian Institute of Technology, Birla Institute of Technology and Science, and Pilani, and bunch of the number one engineering school in the state of Tamil Nadu, Anna University College of Engineering. I was in the top few in the state of Andhra Pradesh, Usmania College of Engineering, Usmania Medical College. There are a whole bunch of colleges, okay? I chose the Indian Institute of Technology, Chennai. There I built India's first hybrid vehicle. Today you see hybrid vehicles running around. And I published a paper in the US journals while just being an undergrad student. That was a landmark paper. I actually convinced our institute to loan me one of their buses. I converted it into a hybrid vehicle. So that was the first hybrid vehicle in India. I interned in the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited on the Jaguar aircraft assembly line, at the Kavalur Observatory of the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, at the rocket launching station at Sriharikota, and at the world's leading fast breeder nuclear reactor at Kalpakkam. Later, I came to the United States and collected postgraduate degrees, studied at the University of Toledo, did research at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and at Stanford University. While going to college in the US, when I didn't have a fellowship or an assistantship from the university, I even worked in a Burger King. Upon graduating, I joined the automotive industry in Detroit. In my first job, there was a recession in the auto industry, and my first paycheck as a professional bounced when I deposited it in a bank. Apparently, the company I worked for had a cash flow situation, and eventually it collapsed. And I had to go and get myself another job. I climbed the corporate ladder there, was even offered partnership in this consulting company, where we took it from 10 employees to about 500 employees in 2 years. So I do know what it takes to run an S-quadrant business. It used to take 6 years to engineer a new car because they did a lot of trial and error engineering. They built prototypes, tested it, and if it didn't work out, they went back to the drawing board. We, however, invented new methods and mathematics to completely engineer an entire vehicle on a computer. We could predict how much the steering wheel would shake, how badly the driver would be injured in an accident, how hot it got under the engine entirely through finite element analysis and mathematical simulations. We won contracts at all the major car companies in the world, and I was able to lead engineering groups at Ford, GM, Chrysler, BMW, Audi, and so on. Meanwhile, I did get married, unfortunately to a wrong person. It was a very painful experience. I had to go through a divorce after having 2 kids. In the community that I come from, divorce was unheard of, and it was something very hard for me. And I'm grateful to my coaches and mentors, Chetan Rastogi, Sajid Syed, Sridhar, and Raj Shah, for always lending me their shoulder and support. The weekly meetings that I went to, the association with all of you positive people, helped encourage me, keep my sanity and focus. For many years, I was a single dad, built this business to the founder assembly level, and continued to excel at work. However, as conventional businesses go, the auto industry changed, our margins dropped, our customers couldn't pay for the services we rendered, and the company got into serious cash flow challenges. But no worries, I was able to walk away from my job because we built this business to the founder assembly level. We had qualified for Achievers trips in multiple countries, and that was fun. Our daughter never saw dad go to work from the time she was 6 months old to the time she was 6 years old. And I was one day hanging out in the Houston temple, and I had a conversation with the person there with the intention to drop the message. In that conversation, I found out he worked at NASA, and I mentioned, like most Indians, I always wanted to work at NASA. And he asked me a few questions, and I told him that I was an engineer, and he said he was a manager there and was looking to hire and asked me to send him a resume. I did. The next day, I got a call from him, and he asked me if I was the same Satish Reddy of the fracture mechanics fame. And I had done some landmark work in fracture mechanics in school. And I said I was, and he immediately called me for an interview. I got the job. And in the next 5 years, got 7 promotions and became chief engineer of one of the largest engineering groups at NASA. So I set a goal and a deadline to find a wife within 6 months. You see, the business teaches you goal setting, okay? I filtered through hundreds of them online. I flew to New Zealand and India to interview so many. And I was so fortunate to have found the very best person for me. My life partner, my partner in business, someone I love and cherish the most. And here's my wife, Sushma Reddy.
Thank you, Satish. I was born and brought up in Hyderabad. Both my parents were professional doctors. We were 5 siblings, and I'm the middle kid. I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers. My dad was very strict and used to encourage all of us to get good education and to participate in extracurricular activities. My mom was a loving, caring, and kind-hearted lady who, in spite of being very busy working professional, always made time to make each one of us feel very special. We all were disciplined by our dad and spoiled with love and shopping by our mom. We always had household employees while growing up. We were never trained or allowed to do any of the household chores. We had good convent school education and studied in good reputed colleges. While I was at school, I was elected as students' representative at grade 7, secretary at grade 8, treasurer at grade 9, and school president at grade 10 of the high school. After completing junior college, I wasn't allowed to take the medicine entrance as I was too young. So I joined Women's College and did my bachelor's degree in science first year, then got admission into Homeopathic Medical College the next year. I lost my mom at the age of 19 and both my brothers were young at school. My dad was working in another town and both my elder sisters were married by then. Struggle in the life started after we lost our mom. If cooking lady did not turn up for any reason, we never had cooked food on the table. Since then, we became tough. We were exposed to truth of life. We worked hard and studied hard. Now, both my brothers are here, one in Seattle and the other one in New Jersey. As you know, in Indian custom, my father started looking for marriage proposals. And he identified one person and arranged the marriage. It did not go very well from the day one. We had lots of issues, tried to reconcile, had 2 kids and wanted to move on, but wasn't successful. I joined the college and completed my bachelor's degree in science. By then, I had 2 degrees. Bachelor's degree in science for 3 years and bachelor's degree in homeopathic medical college and surgery, and that is for 5.5 years. I then worked as a duty medical officer for many years in Hyderabad, had my own hospital in remote area of Andhra Pradesh, which was going through a communist-inspired insurgency. I practiced in horrible conditions where I used to conduct deliveries and still could hear gunfire going on the background. There is no power, no sewage system, no proper instruments, no generators, yet I did serve the people. And one day I could remember that I was doing a delivery and I could hear hissing noise coming at the background. I asked the nurse who was helping me, I said, what's that hissing noise coming? She said, ma'am, can you see from that window that small hole there? I said, yeah, but I could see it's probably a snake because I started, stuttering because I could hear the noise. And she said, this is the deadly poisonous snake. I said, okay, those were the conditions where I practiced my medicine. One day my dad came to visit me and he was shocked to see the circumstances where I was practicing. My dad encouraged me to come back to Hyderabad and give a good education to my 2 little kids. After seriously thinking about the kids' future and to protect them from extreme negative environment, I chose to take divorce. I discussed with my siblings and immigrated to New Zealand with my 2 little children. It was very hard as a solo parent with no friends and family in a new strange country. I tried to practice as a homeopathic physician, spoken to many homeopathic doctors who were not doing very well in their businesses in New Zealand at that time. I put myself back in the college and studied nursing. Before I could complete my education, I was offered many jobs in many hospitals. I had passion for emergency and intensive care, hence taken up the job in critical care department. Worked for a few years and studied post-graduation and then masters in advanced critical care nursing. I'm an advanced care registered nurse, specialist nurse, and worked in Australia and New Zealand. I worked very hard day and night, including all the shift work and every weekend for many, many years. I paid off my student loan, bought my first home, took my kids for their first international vacation to India. I couldn't afford because I had mortgage by then. I had my student loans and all the loans started piling up. But my son was in 7-8 years old, something. He came up to me. He said, Mom, children, I think at school bullying goes on or whatever goes on. He came up to me and he said, Mom, are we orphans? Where we come from, do we really have anyone, extended family or anyone? Because you say you have got sisters and brothers, aunts and uncles and all that, but we never seen anyone in person. You never taken us anywhere. Then it really touched my heart. Then I realized that the run for my life, I was running and piling up everything, but I forgot where I come from. The children need to know where you come from, where they belong. So I took them to India. That was my first trip. Then I later took them to US to Disneyland. I bought my second home and was very busy paying off the mortgages. While building the life for myself and my 2 dependent kids, I don't remember where the life has gone, especially the time has gone. I never had time to care for myself, cook or clean, or to attend to any of my hobbies. I neglected myself, ate junk, drank fizzy drinks, and did absolutely no exercise. I put on a lot of weight and became obese plus. I moved to Australia following my friend's suggestion as both my children were in college. My friend suggested it was time for me to settle down and not to be a dependent on my kids. I took that suggestion and kept my profile on online Indian matrimonial site. My belief was, one marriage wasn't successful. How can you go for second? One marriage has left you with 2 kids and your life has taken over because the decades of life has gone, just trying to manage everything, do the justice for your children, look after everything else. Then my friends actually, sometimes you never know who suggests you what, and it will come through. And they are the ones who suggested me to move to Australia and not to be dependent on children. That's also, again, your love that has taken me. I didn't want to be a dependent on my kids. Then I started thinking about, okay, probably it's my time for me to think about my friend's suggestion. One fine day, got a call from Satish. I was blown away and surprised after listening to his qualifications and achievements. I even cross-checked about Satish's details through my family and acquaintances. They all assured me that he's a real guy and spoke highly of him. I was impressed and wanted to meet him. We both started spending hours together on the phone, video calls, chatting, and started getting to know each other better.
She even called a guy that she knew in the US and asked about me. It turned out that he was in my downline.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Because, when I told my children about the NASA chief engineer coming from US all the way to New Zealand is the other part of the world. My daughter said, Mom, why he's coming from all the way, from US? Because US is highly populated. Why he has to find a wife all the way from there to here and look at you and look at him? Then it made me think. Then I thought, you never know. I was still hoping that he will come. And I was impressed and wanted to meet him. We both, as I said, started spending hours together on the phone, video calls, chatting, and started getting to know each other better. He said, you look great, but you would be more beautiful if you were to lose weight. I know. I told my daughter and she said, Mom, you shouldn't. He might be a scammer. She said, no, a person should accept and love you the way you are. He can't just tell you that, you need to lose weight and this and that. I said, no, I'm ready to do anything. I had in the past tried weight loss programs, as I've mentioned. I used to lose weight for a short time and used to put on big double very soon. Satish introduced me to XX multivitamin tablets, body key replacement shakes, and nut bars. I took this as a challenge as I really started to like Satish and want to impress him. I used to take the products that he sent it to me and started walking. I used to record everything that I used to eat and drink, including in my exercises and other walking things or water, including everything. Satish was my motivation. I lost tremendous weight within 3 months, less than 3 months, 2.5 months. I used to weigh around 190 pounds and now 145 plus pounds. Finally, Satish came to visit me in New Zealand. I was so surprised to see him so young looking, gorgeous eyes, sportive attitude, and excellent communication skills. Yes, I went to New Zealand Auckland Airport and I was about to pick him up. And actually, I couldn't recognize him because he was wearing a backpack. And I couldn't recognize, how can he be so young? Then the second round, I looked at the eyes, when you do phone chatting and all that, you only see the face. You don't get to see the body. So then I recognized his eyes. Then I stopped. I said, I beg your pardon. I'm sorry. I was late because then I parked and I took him to my place. I totally fell for him the first time I looked at him, and I brought him home and introduced to both my children. We spent the day showing him the museums, gardens, and surrounding stunning beaches of Auckland. That evening, he took me to an open meeting. The first time you met a person, and I was thinking about everything else, that we'll go for a nice outing and have a dinner on the beach side, Auckland stunning beaches and all that. But he said, no, Sushma, at 4 o'clock, right 4 o'clock, we have to be at the meeting center. And I drove long distance to take him to Piha Beach. We drove from there. And that evening, he was the speaker at the open meeting. I was able to finally understand the business, what he was talking to me about all these months. It made sense. Satish visited me again. All of us had a great vacation visiting glaciers in the South Island of New Zealand. I came to visit Satish in America, where he proposed to me. And I couldn't believe it. I was ecstatic. I accepted his proposal and got married soon after in Houston. I'm very fortunate to have met Satish. He introduced me to this awesome business and excellent products, and moreover, the mentorship. I just can't thank enough of the people that have mentoring me, coaching me, and all downline or upline, everyone, even crossline, I could say, that all positive attitude people. Our life has been a whirlwind since then. We flew to Detroit, hung around with our awesome Upline Diamonds couple, Vinita and Chetan. They are our Upline mentors who are very kind and generous. It was amazing to see this couple's lifestyle. A beautiful home, a broad deck behind, picture-perfect scenery with a stream in their backyard, lots of squirrels, cozy fireplace. As a New Zealander, we love fireplaces. Cozy fireplace and no worries. The only concern was if the little dog Buttons was missing them. when they're not around at home. Their lifestyle opened my eyes to the real possibility that lay ahead for Satish and me. Vinita did a skin analysis session with me and taught me about the products. We went out to eat, went to the mall where we bought a lot of dresses for myself. What more does a lady want?
For her to wear at open meetings.
That's because, when you're from New Zealand, we wear black. All the time we wear black dresses. All blacks from New Zealand we represent, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a ceremony, whatever. You don't see colors. So moreover, we tend to wear all black. So whatever I got from New Zealand was all black. So when I went actually to the shopping, Satish, I was totally, blown away. The next weekend, we were at Spring Leadership, California. And the same day, we had dinner with Sajid Syed, another diamond upline, who is gem of a person. And we did an open meeting in Detroit. And that was the first time ever I was on the stage. And the next week, we went to Spring Leadership, California. And my goodness gracious me, the Spring Leadership just blew me away. This meeting gave me a big vision. I saw thousands of people. I heard so many diamonds and double diamonds. Their talks were riveting. It just opened my eyes to the world of Amway. When I was listening to everyone's speeches, it was how real people go through different struggles in life. It helps them to become stronger, develop an attitude, work the game plan, and master their destiny to be free. We had dinner with our upline double diamonds, double diamond, Kanti and Lata Gala, and another upline diamonds, Kulin and Meena Desai. We started hitting the business hard and driving to Dallas and Austin to show more plans. And thanks to our Tesla, because we drive to Dallas and Austin without sweat. We just sit and program the thing and it drives us. We flew around America supporting our team and to India, to all different cities that we have emeralds and diamonds sharing the vision for the business. I started helping my downline doing cover dishes, grand openings, home board plans, artistry sessions, and learned to lead people. During the day, I hear audio CDs while I exercise on my treadmill and read books, as I've mentioned earlier on. I regularly keep in touch with the ladies in our team in the legs we are actively working in, encouraging them in the business. I realize that this business is a blessing. And leadership is a privilege that I need to master myself and mentor my downline leaders to also do so. I'm grateful to all our coaches and mentors who helped me transition from a registered nurse with an E quadrant mentality to a B quadrant business owner mentality. We got a chance to visit Raj and Sangeeta Shah's place at their mansion in Atlanta. And what an incredible home with pools, chandeliers, movie theaters, swings, 5 huge swings, a large gym, spa, sauna, elevator with wide balconies, breathtaking views of one of the top golf courses in America. And their furniture, can't talk enough of the furniture. Their drapes, their welcoming love was just tremendous. I had never seen any house like that in all my life. We also hung out with our downline executive diamonds, Chuck and Uma Kakani, at their beautiful, lovely home. These lifestyles are real and are available to all of us. We just have to associate it with free people, capture the dream, and go and build the business. When I showed my first plan to a lady in Chicago while building depth, I was disappointed at her response and lack of focus because I was busy, that was my first plan. I was so stressed and I was showing it to her and she was busy texting, talking and all that. She wasn't paying attention. I realized that it was fine. I just had to acknowledge that this person was not it and I had to go find someone else, like tomato Satish mentioned. She is not the tomato I was looking for. We are in the business of finding diamonds. I have heard my husband say sometimes we have to go through a lot of dirt to unearth a diamond. The diamond we then have to cut and polish before it shall sparkle and show its real worth to the world. That is the job of a leader in our business. Disappointments are not to be taken seriously. Instead, always focus on the action to find your next leader. My husband always says, speak what you want. We were building depth in a personal leg. And he said at the beginning of the month, they will reach 2,500 points. And I was thinking, how come? They're sitting at somewhere there and how come they're going to reach 2,500 points? And our group started listening to him, captured the vision, and they did 2,500 points. The next month, Satish began speaking that they will be going 4,000 points. And it's a done deal. What he inspired, actually, I was thinking, how come, 1 month they jumped to 2,500. The next month itself, they have to go 4,000. That is 1,500 points jump. How it's going to happen? But it happened. What he said inspired their entire team across the country and also their crossline at our weekly meetings and hangouts. And guess what happened? At the end of the month came along, they did not only do 4,000 PV, they did well over it. So speak what you want. The power of the spoken word is critical aspect of this business. This is especially for ladies. Ladies, we want a lot of good, great things, don't you? We know how to dream big. We just have to speak. and work on the game plan with your husband, work with your team, work with your upline, and what you speak you shall have. Last month we were on a dream vacation with our kids to Canada, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Russia, and Germany. You haven't lived until you have seen the palaces in St. Petersburg and the picture-perfect cities of Copenhagen and Stockholm. However, the chandeliers we saw at Raj and Sangita's mansion were better than those we saw in great palaces of Europe. I really wanted to see that Russia. I didn't even tell whatever I wanted to Satish, but I don't know how he get to know all those things. He actually booked to Russia and he took me to those palaces. So I'm thankful to that. My husband's story and how he found our leaders is amazing, and I'm always inspired and excited to listen to him. Here is my diamond, Satish.
Well, I'm so glad that I've been blessed with such a winner for a life partner. She came to New Zealand with just 2 small kids and no money in her pocket. However, she didn't just do her best, but did whatever it took to establish herself through college, re-establish, raise kids, work like crazy, and end up owning multiple $1 million homes. And I was looking hard for the right partner who wasn't afraid of hard work, provided she had a dream to work for. See, our business story starts with me fresh out of post-graduation in mechanical engineering, working with this firm in Detroit. And one of my colleagues was Sridhar, who was my classmate and study partner when we were at Indian Institute of Technology in Chennai during our undergrad. He was a good boy, someone that I highly respected. Our friendship grew post-college. When I said good boy, none of us classmates ever heard him say one bad word or had a bad day in all the 4 years that we stayed in the dormitories there. When we were back in Michigan, once he even invited me to go jump out of an airplane from 10,000 feet. And we learned to go skydive. And as you realize, we had a high level of trust between us because, when he said jump, I jumped. Okay. The same Sridhar dropped the message. He said, Satish, I've seen a way to create a business asset and I like it. You're my friend. I'd like you to help me check it out. If you like it, we can do it together. He did mention that he was working with some successful people and I was curious. But the first time I took no action as I was about to go on a trip. Upon my return, he mentioned it again. This time he told me that he was excited about the business asset he was building and that I should check it out. I was more open because I'd gone to India and Singapore and blew a hole in my credit card account. I had my first meeting and he had invited me and I met with Chetan. That was like an MG1, okay? Chetan used to go to school at Ohio State University with Sridhar. And I had met Chetan when we had all gone camping once. I'll never forget, he even pushed me into icy cold Lake Michigan. And I almost killed him that day. Good thing I didn't. He was my future upline diamond, okay? So in our first meeting, when I was introduced that he was going to be our coach, I was looking at him with daggers in my eye, okay? But Chetan had a lot of questions about my dream. And he found out about my background. He had tremendous posture. I hadn't really understood what the business was all about, but he appeared satisfied at my questions. He invited me straight to a board plan at a hotel. I had a calculator in my hand to make sure the speaker did his arithmetic right. That's what I did at work. The speaker was an elderly American gentleman that talked more about the lifestyle of the B quadrant that he was enjoying, but didn't go into the details. I was very disappointed that I didn't get to use my calculator. I remember Sridhar introducing me to Chetan, Sajid and Raj, and they sent me home with a lit pack. At the follow-up with Chetan, I had 100 questions, one perhaps for every PV I was going to do. Initially, Chetan answered me, question 1, answer 1, question 2, answer 2, question 3, answer 3. Eventually, he got tired and asked me if I read the book in the lit pack and listened to the audio. I told him that I didn't fully do that. So he packed me up and sent me home to go complete my homework. We met again for a second follow-up. This time he was better prepared. He probably had a huddle with his coach. Instead of answering my questions, and I had still a big list of them, he went straight to my dreams and goals in life. He asked me questions as to why I would think I would do well in business. And I caught myself selling myself to him. I remember telling him that I was working on my MBA in Entrepreneurship at the University of Michigan, that I was going to be God's gift to business. He shook hands with me and welcomed me to the business. For the first many months, I was just listening to audios, reading books. There wasn't much growth in the business, but I was mentally growing. I hung out with Sajid, Chetan and Raj. I saw Chetan putting together a team. He had launched in depth a guy called Rajesh Nagpal, who today is a Founders Emerald with many diamonds in his group. But he was a guy I knew at work. I couldn't say the business didn't work because I saw those that were doing the action were getting the results. Raj and Sangeeta Shah were able to retire from their job at a ripe old age of 32 thanks to this business. Some of you saw them featured in that local TV news one evening in Detroit. Like, it said, how does a couple retire at such a young age? And a lot of you have seen that video. And if you see that video, right at the very end of it, you see the camera sweeps to a guy hiding behind a car, and that's me. Okay? However, nothing was happening for me, and that's because I wasn't putting the action of putting a network together. I heard in an audio that you will grow internally first before you will grow externally in business. Actually, they asked me to make a list of potential candidates, and I had one guy on my list. And the guy was in Chicago. We were in Detroit. So Sridhar said, jump in the car, let's go to Chicago and show this guy the business. So we drove all the way to Chicago. I had called him earlier. We set up a time. So we drove from Detroit to Chicago, 6 hours in the winter, fighting the snow, ice, whatever conditions. Ended up in Chicago, knocked on his door, no show. He wasn't there. And I was feeling depressed. I was feeling low. Sridhar then said, you know what, let's go. There's a meeting going on around here. There's a person called Nick Sony. He's a NASA engineer. Let's go and listen to him. And I think Nick was 600 PV or something. But I went and listened to his training at the meeting. And man, I was blown away. And thank you, Nick, because that held me up because I was feeling lower than a pregnant ant at that time. And I started studying the products. I flew to California to check out Nutrilite Farms. I drove to Ada, Michigan to check out the corporation. When they talked about Glister toothpaste, I took it to work and put it under a microscope and compared Glister toothpaste with Colgate toothpaste and other toothpaste. And I saw the structure and I was super impressed when I saw that. But I had to do all that. I was doing my paralysis of analysis. Finally, there was a big function, an FED coming along. And Sridhar and everyone were all excited about it. Through association, I got excited also. And I started getting more serious. I started dropping the message more often. Just entering the stadium and seeing 15,000 people there, this is FED Philadelphia, was such a powerful spectacle. You realize real people have done it. FED had given me such a belief that upon my return, I was able to better articulate the vision and become supremely effective in my meetings with candidates. I used to be afraid of people asking me, how much money have you made? But after FED, I was able to effectively convey to them that it wasn't where I was, but where I was going. When people think you are a stationary train parked in the station with no plan to leave, nobody gets onto it. However, when people can feel that you're moving quickly, you stopped at their station for just a few minutes, they either jump onto the train and get to the destination or miss the opportunity, they'll jump it. In the next 4 months, I shared this business several times a day while balancing job and family. And I went through a plan. My coaches, when mentors said, go and drop the message to 2 people a day. And that's what we did. 7 days later, 14 people. Some of my folks started duplicating me and the momentum picked up. There was this one guy at work who I had made the mistake of sharing this business to, but he was not the right guy. But I still got him to a meeting, hoping that getting him to the big board plan would, impress him. But he was not the right guy. And at the end of the plan, the next day onwards, he kept bugging me every day, taunting me at the coffee machine at work, saying, so when are you going to be a millionaire? Okay? Or ha 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 and whatever. I used to quietly walk away. But after FED, I responded with strength and a smile, saying definitely much faster than just working here. And it is happening. He demanded to know where was I. I told him that in the next 4 months, I was going to be at 25%. And I was only 6% in the business. But watch me. Every day he would ask me for a PV update. And every day I gave him the latest score. Soon he started cheering for me. So that put the pressure in me. I had to go and perform. I had to make sure every day my PV was better than the day before. Okay? And in time, I entered platinum qualification. Sometimes you need people like this to provoke you, to poke you. Okay? It's not what happens to you, how you respond to it. And I chose to respond positively. They say success is revenge. The guy he transformed from a negative guy to becoming a cheerleader for me. And, he was like, rooting for me. He was too chicken to do the business. But, he became a supporter. Okay? He never bought one product from me. Didn't help me do one PV, but his presence was inspiring enough. And you'll have some people in your life like that. One of those guys that had come to FED with me, he later met Chuck Kakani at an Indian restaurant in California and dropped the message to him. Chuck was, I think, pretty loud, sitting in a certain part of the restaurant, and he was like talking pretty loudly and attracted this guy's attention. And he went and, decided to drop the message with Chuck. Chuck went to this boat plan in Kansas City. He took Uma with him. They were not married at that point in time, and they were just friends. And she ended up getting excited. It's funny, I think the speaker asked them, so where would you like to travel? And she immediately said, I want to go see a pyramid. And the whole room became quiet, apparently. So she ended up getting excited, And I heard that one of Chuck's friends had talked to him about the business a little while before that. But he didn't do it doing it in a professional way. Chuck had actually sat down with him and had convinced him to quit. Uma was the one that worked with their sponsor and got Chuck launched. Chuck and Uma were invited to a big function, and that's where I met them for the first time. I think it was Bill Britt's talk transformed his thinking. Going back, they got started. Chuck sponsored a board plan for them, and Chuck had invited 30 plus people there. And after the sponsor showed the plan, everyone was excited, and Chuck wrapped it up. Chuck hadn't learned posture with politeness yet. He made such strong statements that none of the people that were there remained. He's made statements like, if you don't like it, you can hide in the bushes and watch. And stuff like that. Fresh after listening to Bill Britt, okay? Only one couple that had left early and didn't hear Chuck's wrap-up was the one that got launched later. The business is forgiving if you learn it and are willing to refine your skills and continue to build the asset. And Chuck and Uma were winners. They learned very quickly to capture a big dream and work on it. And they took ownership of their business. They went and showed this business to the same guy who they had convinced earlier not to build it. When that guy protested and said, how come you convinced me to quit and now you're showing me the very same plan? Chuck replied, that at that time you were only talking to me about the business. You didn't show me. And if you were plugged in with your coach, you wouldn't have quit. Who asked you to listen to a guy who didn't even see the business? So Chuck and Uma once went to a public library to meet a candidate. However, that person didn't make it there. So Uma started talking to a lady there. In that conversation, she dropped the message, and later that lady and her husband, a doctor, got launched. And they didn't do much, but they led him to a couple, Vidya and Rama Tadipamula. Today, founders emeralds in the business, going diamond in a hurry. Vidya, after his first board plan, told Chuck that he wanted to be just a customer. However, during the follow-up, Rama got to see the business. She wasn't there at the board plan. She got excited and got launched. It was later that Vidya came on board after Chuck and Uma built a strong relationship with them. So sometimes you need to just build a relationship. Vidya has been busy traveling all around the world building the business. And we're very proud of him. Both Vidya and Rama were very quiet people. And I remember the first time they were introduced to me, they were trying to convince me that they didn't have the personality. But that weekend, the turning point began. They're one of our best students in the business and today earn a good income from it. They in turn were able to coach multiple people go emerald. Praveen and Vasavi, KK and Lakshmi, Anand and Pushpa. A tip here is, it is not what a candidate thinks what the business is or what the corporation is. It is your job to prepare them, educate them using the process taught by your coaches and mentors so that they understand. And Chuck went on to find other leaders who went emerald. Raj and Deepthi Kalvacharla, Nilesh and Pratima Singh, Raj and Sue Mocharla, Gopal and Vijaya, and even Sumit and Rashmi in the United Kingdom. Today, Chuck and Uma are executive diamonds and are one of the most respected people in the industry, and we are so proud of them. I once had a conversation with a couple in a restaurant in Windsor, Canada, and they led me to a couple in New Jersey, who in turn, after attending a major function and FED, got so fired up that the same day they called and dropped the message with a couple in Houston. And that is Founders Emeralds, Shirish and Radhika. He recently took an early retirement, thanks to asset-based income. And he was awarded as one of the top most valuable people of Shell Oil Company. And he had a PhD, postdoctorate fellowship, was one of the main technologists for Shell. Shirish in turn was able to coach, started Emeralds, Dilip and Chitra Pargankar right here in Atlanta, and Emeralds Sanjay and Snehal Mande in Mumbai. And meanwhile, the India business had got started. And I remember going to India, and within a month, we put a team of 100 people together. Essentially, the game plan was this. Just went there, invited a bunch of people to come to a board plan, showed them the plan. Those that were excited, told them, I'll come and do a board plan for you. And started doing a board plan, at least 2-3 board plans a day. And within a month, had 100 people in the team. Today, through that effort, that burst of effort, we have Diamonds Varaprasad and Surukumari in Vizag, Founders Emeralds Rao and Vijay in Chennai, and so many leaders around India. We built this business with discipline, built this business to a Founders Emerald level, made some money, not rich, but didn't go and blow my money. I went Emerald in a Toyota Corolla. It was called a Geo Prism. It was made the same thing as a Toyota Corolla in that time. But because I saved money, when time came that we had to buy a house, typically it would take 30 years to make, monthly payments. This was, I think, in 6 months paid off the house. And just plonked down a lot in cash. Then the second house that we bought was a one payment plan. The third house I bought was a one payment plan. And now each house was graduating into the 7 figures. And once you get your house payments taken care of, your car payments, every car I've bought, the last 7, 8, 9 cars I've bought are all one payment plans. I was able to put my kids to the best private schools in Houston. And so today we've got 4 kids, 2 of hers and 2 of mine. Now they're 4 of ours now. And they have so beautifully gelled together. I'm so proud of them all. The oldest has taken charge, is now aggressively building this business out there in the hunt, attending every single thing. We're so very, very proud of her. Her mom did a great job raising her. I've been banking my salary for years. However, I still go to work because I'm passionate about rocket science. A lot of people would just go and golf or do other things, but I'm passionate about that. Since I don't depend on my paycheck to pay bills, I'm really able to take risk at work and come up with big ideas. And so I get these awards as Innovator of the Year award, and this year the Stellar Award. And the Stellar Award is a national award for space achievement. It is like the Oscar Awards for the space industry. Some of you say that you love your job, but I suspect you love your paycheck more. If they didn't pay you, would you go to work? Probably not. For many years, I actually donated my entire salary to charity. If you go to Museum of Fine Arts, Houston, the India Pavilion, I've donated money. My name is on that. Because I realized that raising my kids as immigrants here in this country, and every school kid in Houston goes through that museum. There was no India Pavilion, so we felt that we'd like to have an India Pavilion there, so that this way, everybody else knows the culture that, the background that my kids are coming from. You got to learn to sensitize the local population to your community, and that's the best way I thought of doing. So today I do have a serious job as chief engineer of a large engineering group at NASA. Now I've been a single dad while building this business, yet I was able to build it. I never missed the weekly board plans at the open, or the weekly hangouts, major functions, and the BBS like this one. I learned early that either you make excuses or you make money. And I chose to make money, and not just money, but create a legacy with my family in the space industry and in this business, mentoring hundreds of emeralds and diamonds the world over. Sometimes, it's not about how much money you make. It's what difference are you making. Okay. This morning, while we were flying here, I was talking to one of our leaders in Chennai. He had just lost his mom. Okay. On Christmas Day last year, we were there in his house. And he's a Founders Emerald, nice house. It was worth a couple of crore rupees, built entirely through this business. I'm so proud of so many of our leaders. Sanjay and Snehal Mande in Mumbai, he was a technician in the Hindustan Petroleum Refinery. And he was a union leader. He was the specialist in going and demanding, things for the union. However, once, he got into this business and he learned that he needs to find win-win solutions. And this is what we teach and we learn in this business. When you're sharing this with someone, you need to find out what is it that they're looking for. And if you help them accomplish their goals using this business as a vehicle, that's the most effective way by which you can build this business. And he started applying that in his job. So he went to the chairman and he said, look, the chairman was surprised that this time they had their negotiation without all the protests and without going on strike and all that stuff. He said, look, we'll just have a conversation. And he said, look, I've not come here this year to go on strike and demands and all that. Yes, we do have some demands, but before we talk about our demands, I want to know what are your goals. What is your goal in the next 1 year? If we, labor, give 100% cooperation to you, how much of growth would you like? So then the chairman was really surprised. He said, we could do 10% growth and, this and that. So he said, look, if you get 10% growth, how much, what is the net bottom line the profit that you make? And they talked numbers. And he said, look, I want to get 80% of that money that we help you get. And I want you to improve our workers' accommodations. I want you to get a new school to our area. And he started negotiating. By doing that, what happened was, within the next 1 year, they met those goals. The labor started getting benefits. They realized that they didn't have to go to war with management, and they could cooperatively do it. A couple of years later, when Sanjay and Snehal went Emerald, and they were making enough money, they didn't need to go and do that technician job, and he wanted to quit. The labor union threatened him, you better not quit. So he continued on for a couple of years, and now they live in a nice home overlooking the Powai Lake in Mumbai. And what a beautiful scene of Powai Lake. And on the other side of the lake, you see IIT Powai. And you see all these, multi-million dollar apartments all around in that area. And what a lifestyle. So you have no idea, today, when you go and show this to somebody and you realize or you find that that person is not it. They are not really focused about doing or being part of your network asset. Okay? Don't worry about them. Okay? You need to have the strong faith. And I've heard our mentors, Raj and Sangeeta, always speak. Speak what you want. I've heard Ganesh and I speak. Speak whatever you want, what you want that you don't have. You need to learn to visualize. I remember when I was struggling, this is before I went to a major function. But, they said, make a list of candidates, okay, or potential candidates, so we can call. And I made a list of exactly 6 people, but I didn't call those 6 people. Or I would call them, and I would call them in a very ineffective way, where I was basically selling. In fact, once Raj caught me and he said, Satish, you're being a salesman doing that, don't do that. I took that to heart. I remember inviting candidates ineffectively to the board plan. And they wouldn't show up, and I would be pining away for them. These are tips on leadership, actually. What Raj did was he pulled me one to the front of the board plan, and he pointed to the room, and he pointed to the front row, and they were empty. Okay, it was reserved for candidates. And he said, you see the front row? Satish, in the next 4 months, I see that you will have this entire row filled with candidates from your organization. How many people I had in my group at that time? Myself and me alone. But what Raj did was he instilled a vision in me, and I started seeing that vision. Once you capture the vision, then you'll start filling up that vision, those empty seats, with people. The next day when I was going out and presenting this and talking to people, I was talking with, already in my mind, those seats were filled up. And I was just checking to see if this guy deserved to sit in that seat or didn't. And I went with that attitude. So within the next 4 or 5 months, I was able to put a team of about 100 people together, about 60 odd people together. And that's what took me to silver in 4 months. So you just have to figure out what you need to do by plugging in tight with your coaches and mentors to leverage the support system. I remember once when I went to a major conference, learn to observe the leaders there. And when I was in the major conference, I remember seeing Kumar being recognized on the stage as some pin. I don't remember. It was Emerald, Diamond, something like that. Or in between sessions, there was this restaurant. And Chetan, myself, Sridhar, we had all gone to that restaurant. Kumar was there in that restaurant eating. And I happened to sit in the same table that he was. He asked me what was my name. And I said, my name is Satish Reddy. He said, yeah, Reddy, yeah. The person that launched me in business, his name is also Reddy. And I said, yeah. And then he asked me my first name. I said, Satish. 5 minutes later, while we were eating, he wanted to say something to me. And he said, oh, I forgot your name. What's your name again? So I said, Satish. 5 minutes later, he forgot my name. He again asked me my name. What's your name again? I said, Satish. After 3, 4, 5, 6 times, he asked me my name, Satish. You know what? It built the dream in me. It built the vision. I'll tear this thing up. I mean, Kumar was highly impressive on the stage. But he touched my life in a positive way by forgetting my name. So you never know. Sometimes you go to a function and you say that, oh, this guy will do it, this guy won't do it. I remember going to a major function, my first major function that I went to. And on the stage, I think I saw Manipal and Renuka Reddy being recognized as new rubies. I knew Renuka, she's my cousin. But by just seeing that person being on the stage, being recognized, built my belief. If we can do it, you can do it too. This is just the beginning. Now that I've found this winner by my side, together we are going on, taking care, finishing this diamond thing and beyond. That's just the beginning again. Understand that if you build this business with attachment, oh, I'm going to make that money, that PV check is going to come. For some of us, that might work out. But for some of us, it may not work out. For me, if I thought that, if I launch this person and I'm going to make an extra few $100 in my bonus check, I'll be very ineffective in launching that person. Okay? On the other hand, I remember the reason why we went 0 to silver in 4 months' time is my sponsor and my coach, Sridhar, he declared, I'm going platinum. And in fact, platinum qualification. And there was this conference where you had to be a silver to attend that conference. And he came to me and said, Satish, guess what? I'm going silver. And I smiled and said, me too. Okay? And then he said, good. Okay, it's 4 months from now and I'm buying a flight ticket. And I said, go for it. And guess what? The next day he came along, he had 2 flight tickets. One for him and one for me. He said, you said it. Now, I'm not recommending that you do that. All I'm trying to say is, if you just have the faith. When I, at that point in time, went out sharing this with people, I went with the attitude, Sridhar and I were good buddies. And I respected him quite a bit. However, when I went and showed this, I was thinking, if I launch this guy, if I help this guy do 100 points, it'll help my coach get to the silver level faster. So for some of you, maybe by taking your eyes off yourself, but focusing on other people, it could be your upline, it could be other people in your team, that will benefit. It took me about 6-8 months before I did my first 100 points. But when I did my 100 points, once I understood, it's a duplication business. If I'm going to help somebody go platinum, they have to do 7,500 points. For them to do 7,500 points, I need to help them find enough people to do enough points to build their network asset. To create that, I had to go and learn to be the best example myself. Okay? So that's just a few pointers over there on our journey, going from 0 to where we are today. But as I said, we're just scratching the surface. Today we are blessed with hundreds of platinums and above in our team. We have 2 diamond legs, 2 emerald legs outside that. And we got lots and lots of momentum, coming up all across the planet. We invite you that if we can do it, you can do it too. And with that, do you have any final thoughts, Sushma?
I just want to say the change begins within you. You are the important person for your business. Until unless you don't take the step, it's never going to happen. The next door neighbor will not come and do it for you. It's you. The same thing with your business. If you want to build it, if you're determined to do it, and it will happen for you.
We had fun talking to you guys, and we look forward to seeing and listening to your story. Come and join us.
While the techniques and approaches suggested in this presentation may have worked for others, no one can guarantee that they will work for you. We hope, however, that the ideas presented here will assist you in developing a strong and profitable business. It is important to emphasize that success in any business opportunity does not come without hard work. The financial achievements depicted in this presentation may reflect income from sources other than Amway, such as earnings from the sale of professional development materials or other businesses and investments. Experience has shown that IBOs who build the most successful businesses do 3 things. They sell to retail customers, register others to become IBOs, and develop product knowledge by purchasing products for personal use.
The Amway Independent Business Owner Compensation Plan, or IBO Compensation Plan, offers monthly and annual bonuses that IBOs can earn in accordance with their contract with Amway. IBOs also may qualify for the Amway Growth Incentives Program, or GI program, a collection of discretionary programs separate from the IBO compensation plan and that can vary from year to year. IBO eligibility for the GI program is at Amway's discretion. The GI program is available only to IBOs in good standing and those whose conduct demonstrates high ethical and business standards aligned with the goals and objectives of Amway and its related businesses. The average monthly gross income for active IBOs was $207 in the U.S. and $186 in Canada. Approximately 48% of IBOs in the U.S. and 52% of IBOs in Canada were active.
IBOs were considered active in months in 2016 when they attempted to make a retail sale or presented the Amway IBO compensation plan or received bonus money or attended an Amway or IBO meeting.
If someone sustained that level of activity every month for a whole year, their annualized gross income would be $2,484 in the U.S. and $2,232 in Canada. Of course, not every IBO chooses to be active every month. Gross income means the amount received from retail sales minus the cost of goods sold, plus monthly bonuses and cash incentives. It excludes all annual bonuses and cash incentives, and all non-cash awards, which may be significant. There may also be significant business expenses, mostly discretionary, that may be greater in relation to income in the first years of operation.
For the purposes of the calculation in Canada, individuals who were IBOs for less than the entire year in 2016 were excluded.
For more details on qualifying for the GI program and the requirements for good standing, see information on Amway.com or contact Amway Sales.
The following are approximate percentages of IBOs in North America who achieved the illustrated levels of success in the fiscal year ending August 31st, 2020. 7500 PV, 0.9233%. Platinum, 0.1880%. Ruby, 0.0024%. Founders Platinum, 0.4958%. Founders Ruby, 0.0081%. Sapphire, 0.0218%. Founders Sapphire, 0.0346%. Emerald, 0.0192%. Founders Emerald, 0.0509%. Diamond, 0.0066%. Founders Diamond, 0.0020%. Executive Diamond and above, 0.0145%. Q12, 0.3485%. The following are approximate percentages for the award trips for the fiscal year ending August 31st, 2020. New Platinum Conference, 0.0977%. Achievers Invitational, 0.4321%. Diamond Club, 0.0246%. Executive Diamond Club, 0.0126%. Diamond Dreams, 0.0141%. North American Growth Council, 0.0082%. Global Founders Council, 0.003%.
The Eagle program is optional and is offered only in the hopes of assisting you in building your own strong and profitable business. This is a BWW program and is not a requirement in achievement in the Amway Sales Plan. As a business owner, you can decide the best method for building your own business. Before registering as an independent business owner or IBO powered by Amway, you should read and understand the Amway Business Overview brochure, which contains important information for those interested in becoming IBOs.